Just ahead on CTV News.
Larry Hogan makes a campaign stop here in Hyattsville. I'm Katara Jones. I'll have all those details coming up on CTV News.
The Office of the Sheriff is bringing awareness to domestic violence by unveiling their brand new domestic violence awareness vehicle, and we'll bring you more details in just a few minutes.
Plus, we sit down with one of the at-large candidates. Those stories and more coming up next on CTV News.
Good evening. This is CTV News for July 12th. I'm Mariah Jalad. Thanks for joining us. Campaign season is in full swing, and U.S. Senate candidate Larry Hogan is looking to highlight the stark differences between him and his opponent, Angela Alsobrooks. CTV's Katara Jones was at his press conference in Hyattsville yesterday, and she has more.
Former Governor Larry Hogan, who's running to be Maryland's next U.S. Senator, touted his public safety and crime record as governor, but he also didn't hold back in attacking his opponent, Democrat Angela Alsobrooks, and puts the blame directly on her on the county's current public safety issues.
We have seen a tragic rise in crime here in Prince George's County. There is a public safety crisis unfolding in this county.
During a campaign press conference on Thursday, U.S. Senate candidate Larry Hogan went after the violent crime record of his opponent, Angela Alsobrooks. Hogan is claiming that Alsobrooks is saying that violent crime is down in the county. But here are the facts. Crime overall in the county is down. But recent data from the Prince George's Police shows that violent crime is up by 12% from this same time last year.
She's the one that's in charge of law enforcement and the Prince George's County Police, and I can tell you that they've got a completely different opinion of what's going on with the crime here, and the facts are the facts.
His campaign launched a website yesterday called AngelaAlsobrooks.org, which some might call misleading about Alsobrooks' record as county executive.
This site, there's nothing inaccurate in this site at all. It's a factual thing, and I think, look, I don't believe in personal attacks, which is what I've been subjected to. But I do believe in, showing contrast and letting people know what the facts are.
Hogan, a Republican, served 2 terms as governor in a predominantly blue state of Maryland and highlighted his record on public safety. If elected to the U.S. Senate, he says he wants to refund law enforcement at the federal level, put more resource officers in schools, and increase penalties for violent offenders.
I'd like to try to implement some of the things we did at the state level at the federal level. I think you can put more federal funding into state and local police. I think you can pass some federal laws that deal with things like federal gun crimes and with dealing with breaking up the gangs and the fentanyl crisis.
Hogan says if elected to the U.S. Senate, he also wants to address the country's immigration issues. In Hyattsville, Katara Jones, CTV News.
Meantime, Hogan also addressed President Joe Biden's re-election campaign. Hogan says that Biden will need to decide with his family on whether he should or should not drop out of the presidential race. And for the first time this year, President Joe Biden held a solo news conference Thursday evening. This was a chance for him to prove his competency to Democrats that were concerned with his recent debate performance. Unlike in that debate, last night Biden was able to give strong responses about major issues like foreign policy. Most of all, he insisted he will not be dropping out of the presidential race, despite a growing number of lawmakers asking him to step aside and voters voicing concerns that he won't be able to beat Donald Trump in November.
The fact is that the consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again. Secondly, the idea, I served in the Senate a long time. The idea that senators and congressmen running for office worry about the ticket is not unusual. And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now, later in the campaign. So there's a long way to go in this campaign. And so I'm just going to keep moving.
And the most recent polling still shows Trump and Biden are virtually tied. Governor Moore proposes a nearly $150 million budget cut in state funds that would be redirected to combat child poverty. The governor announced the proposal Wednesday, cutting a total of $148.6 million in law enforcement and higher education grants. He also announced the official launch of the $20 million Enough initiative. According to the Annie E. Casey Foundation, about 12.1% of Maryland children lived in poverty in 2022. A vote on the governor's proposal is scheduled for July 17th. And there are currently more than 1.6 million people in Maryland enrolled in Medicaid. That's up since 2020. Like other states, the Maryland Health Department saw a rise in people enrolled in Medicaid due to the pandemic. A year-long process of cutting down on people who are no longer eligible will whittle down the number of people enrolled from last year's pandemic high of 1.8 million. Maryland is among the states with the lowest removal rate at 23%. The state with the highest removal rate was Utah at 56%. A Bladensburg man was sentenced to 4 years in federal prison for conspiring to ship stolen cars to West Africa. The suspect is 31-year-old Kareem Touré. Officials say Touré and his co-conspirators fraudulently rented cars from rental companies across the Washington metro region from September 2019 to June of 2022. Using fake IDs, credit cards, and fake documents, the thieves then put the cars on a cargo ship at the port of Baltimore and shipped them to West Africa. Tonight, staggering statistics reveal a hidden crisis in Maryland. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. These chilling numbers come straight from the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence 2023 report. But tonight we bring you hope in the fight against this silent epidemic. The Office of the Sheriff is taking a bold stand, unveiling a powerful new tool in the battle for awareness, the Domestic Violence Awareness Vehicle. CTV's Michaela Newton takes us inside this groundbreaking initiative.
You might start seeing this vehicle around the county at different events and locations, and you can't miss it. It's big, it's purple, and it's bringing awareness to domestic violence. And right here on the back, you can actually see a QR code that brings you directly to the PG Sheriff's website. Follow the QR code straight to a vital resource hub dedicated to combating domestic violence.
Domestic violence happens every day. We don't want to just wait till October.
Unveiled at the second annual Stop the Violence Domestic Violence Conference, this powerful SUV isn't just a vehicle, it's a symbol of hope.
It takes a community really to heal.
Elena Dela Cruz is more than a survivor. She's a testament to the life-saving resources provided by our community.
I've had an ex choke me unconscious. We both thought I was dead, so I'm one of the few that actually are alive, and so I'm very, very thankful.
Recent statistics reveal a disturbing rise in domestic violence cases across the county.
Starting to see a rise of our numbers in peace and protective orders each month. We're averaging close to around 2,000. Not only are we looking at just intimate partners, but we're also looking at family violence. And that's what we're starting to see on the rise.
We want to bring awareness every day so that people are aware of what is happening in our community and the resources that are there to help them through their journey of healing.
And the Office of the Sheriff is continuing to partner with different organizations throughout the county to make a difference. Reporting in Prince George's County, Maryland, I'm Michaela Newton for CTV News.
Thank you, Michaela, for that report. Wise High School will be hosting a candlelight vigil to honor the 3 football players killed in a car crash this past weekend. Family and friends will gather at the school to honor Kyrie Jackson, Anthony Lighton Jr., and Isaiah Hazel. All 3 were former students and state champions at Wise High School. Jackson was just recently drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. The crash happened early Saturday in Upper Marlboro. Jackson and Hazel died on the scene. Lighton was transported to the hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. Again, the vigil will be held at Wise High School tonight at 7. In Maryland, nearly 800 people die and more than 1,700 are wounded by guns every year. That's according to the advocacy group Every Town for Gun Safety. Over the July 4th holiday weekend, there were more than 500 shootings across the country, resulting in at least 180 deaths, including 6-year-old Asan Payton in Temple Hills.
The people who have guns don't necessarily consider that they're taking innocent lives, people who don't have issues with them, they don't have issues with those people, and that a lot of people are getting killed, and that there are other ways to resolve conflicts other than gun use. I think the gun use and the access to guns, and so many young people, unexperienced people or inexperienced people have access to guns, that it puts all of us in danger, whether we are a part of someone's argument or their conflict. It puts every single person in danger.
Every day in the United States, more than 120 people are shot and killed, and more than 200 are wounded by gunfire. And you're watching CTV News. Still to come, a local art gallery is making waves. I'll tell you where you can find some of these awesome artworks after the break.
I never considered myself to be a heavy drinker. At first, I only drank with friends, then to get through the day. I hit rock bottom when I realized I was choosing alcohol over my family. That's when I made the call. With my doctor's help, I was diagnosed with alcohol use disorder. Now, I'm getting to the root of my addiction and finding better ways to cope. Mental health care works when you make the call.
Welcome back. NASA's James Webb Space Telescope is the world's largest and most powerful space telescope. Today marks the second anniversary of Webb's science operations. And what better way to celebrate than with a new stellar image of the universe? Since its launch in 2021, the telescope has revolutionized astronomy with breathtaking images that allow researchers to unravel the mysteries.
What you're seeing today in the image that we're releasing from the James Webb Space Telescope is a pair of galaxies that are in the process of colliding, or we call them interacting galaxies. We call this one the penguin and the egg. That top sort of orange-looking thing is the penguin, and the blue egg in the bottom. Some people also call this the hummingbird galaxy. But what the image really is two enormous galaxies that have been in the process of colliding for a few 100 million years, and in about 1 billion years, they'll merge to form one galaxy. So today it's in this beautiful intermediate stage where we see it as a penguin and an egg, but the science is that it tells us how the universe, we can study things like this to learn how the universe builds large galaxies.
To see more interstellar images from the Webb telescope, visit nasa.gov/Webb or follow NASA Webb on X. And attention Costco shoppers, it will soon cost more to be a part of the club. Costco Wholesale announced plans to increase their annual membership for the first time in 7 years. Effective September 1st, the standard or Gold Star membership annual fee will increase from $60 to $65. For those with an executive membership, expect an increase from $120 to $130. Costco said the fee increase would affect about 52 million memberships. Last night, the city of Bowie held an art gallery reception at its city hall. Water, Water Everywhere is the name of the exhibit, and not only did the participants get a chance to explore the beautiful artwork, they also met the artists who crafted the pieces.
So the artwork is to be able to evoke the sense of water and flowing and earth for any of the pictures, but it's also up to the artist's imagination and interpretation. So we have over 35 artists who are showing 40 different artworks for this particular exhibit. On Thursday, we had our art gallery reception. We hold one every single session so we can make sure that the artists can not only showcase their work, but also talk to the community about their artwork.
All 35 of the artists who participated in the gallery are from the DMV area. This weekend kicks off a local program hoping to keep kids out of trouble while they're out of school. The Safe Summer Nights program is hosted by the City of Laurel and is for anyone in the county area ages 12 to 16. For the next 4 weekends, kids will have a safe space to hang out between 6 and 10 p.m., where they can work on skill-building activities, play sports, receive mentorship, and more.
Providing a safe place for kids to gather, knowing that kids going to have a lot of free time and they might not be going on summer vacation with their family and they're going to be bored. So we said, okay, let's bring them into our recreation centers for 4 hours at the same time, once again, to bring an education component in there and also teach them something they can use for the rest of their life and gather their friends. They just call their friends up, say, hey, we're going to the City of Laurel Safe Summer Night program. But once again, the parents have to sign you in. Parents got to sign you in, and parents got to sign you out. And what that does, it creates an environment that your parents know at 6 p.m. I'm dropping you off to a safe place, and at 10 p.m. I'm coming and picking you up and taking you home. So the rest of the night, you should not leave the house, and we should see a decrease in our juvenile crimes.
The first session of the program will be this Saturday at the Laurel Armory, Anderson and Murphy Community Center. Parents can sign their kids up at the door or by visiting cityoflaurel.org. Still to come on CTV News, we'll introduce you to at-large candidate Isaac Toyos. Don't go away, CTV News will be right back.
Let's get you home.
Jungle through the dark, girl, I never loved one like you. Boats and waterfalls, alleyways and payphone calls. I've been everywhere with you. That's true. Laughing till we think we're down, barefoot on the summer now. Never knew it's sweeter than with you. And in the streets you run a free life. It's only you and me. Cheers, your sun and the sea. Let me go home. Home is wherever I'm with you. Let me go home. Home is wherever I'm with you. Let me go home. Home is where I belong with you. Home, let me come home. Home is wherever I'm with you.
Whether you're out for an hour or all day, the sun will tank your energy and increase the effects of alcohol. Not in a good way. Keep yourself fed and hydrated. Bring some electrolytes, snacks, or even a boat grill to maximize your time and fun on the water. Make sure you can offer your crew a break from the race.
Special election for the County Council's at-large seat is less than a month away. In the next coming weeks, CTV will introduce you to each of those candidates. Joining us in the studio today is candidate Isaac Toyos. Mr. Toyos, thank you so much for joining us. Just to start, can you tell me a little bit more about yourself? Why are you running for the at-large seat?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really appreciative of that. And the reason why I'm running for the at-large seat is because when my wife and I moved down here to Prince George's County, prior to that, I was active duty in the military. When we decided to move down here, we enjoyed the community so much that we decided to set up roots here. We bought our home, and I started seeing some of the issues that the county has. Beyond just commenting on them and just discussing them amongst friends, I really didn't do much regarding that. And it wasn't until my wife and I, we found out that we were pregnant and that we're having our first child right now. And it wasn't until then that I really started to get concerned about all the issues, like the crime issue that we have, the school issues that we have, and try to find ways to make that better, because the alternative is to keep on moving to somewhere where those services can be provided, and in which case I would rather just work towards getting towards a solution.
Mm-hmm. So those issues that you mentioned, crime, that's a big thing that everyone is discussing right now, especially youth crime. Do you have any ideas for how the county council could tackle that?
So the way that the county council can tackle that right now is to increase the spending that we have on recruitment of police officers, so that they can be more of a part of their community. I am of the belief that we don't have enough. We should have a little bit more. And the reason why I can say that is because I can sit in the front porch of my house in Temple Hills, and I don't see a police car roaming the streets of where I live. So doing those preventative rounds. So increase recruitment, and then obviously talk to community leaders so that we can find ways to tackle or increase our presence in those high crime areas.
Okay, so you're talking about increasing funding for law enforcement. The County Council passed the operating budget for 2025. It has over $170 million budget shortfall. It's going to be a big issue for the council coming up this year. So how do you plan to close that gap?
So the way we can close that gap is not a one-stop measure where we can do that and by the end of next year we'll be able to balance our budget. This has to be a step-by-step approach that takes years to get there. But the way that you get there is you don't do that by cutting programs. You don't do that by reducing the budget. You do that by setting up the county to spend more money. And with that, and so the argument is, how can you set up the county to spend more money, but at the same time you don't tax people a little bit more? So my proposal for that is because 70% of the tax revenue that comes into the county are from its residents, and mainly is through property taxes. We have to increase the amount of, or we have to restructure the way we do our zoning so that we can enable the county to build more homes. We can attract more people to move down here, and it actually will put us in a position where we can actually tax people less, but we can still increase our revenue. But that is a 5 to 10 year plan. Okay,
so you're talking about increasing housing. Affordable housing has also been a big topic in the county council this past year. We have the Rent Stabilization Act that was recently, lots of discussion in the county council. What's your approach to that?
So I don't have issue with that type of approach. The only thing is that's a stopgap measure and not necessarily a permanent solution to fix the issues that we have. So we have to organically set up the county economy to be cheaper, and the way that you do that is looking at the long-term plans that we have, and not necessarily. So those are good ideas that will actually help people, but you also want to not have people depending on that and just waiting, is the county going to do something about it, or are they not going to do something about it? Versus I could move anywhere in the county because it's affordable in almost all the areas.
Okay. What strategies do you have to attract new businesses and support the existing ones in the county?
So the way we can attract and support the existing ones in the county is also through zoning, right? I believe that one of the issues that we have in the county is that most of the county council is tied with whichever interest that they may have in terms of zoning, and so that might impact the way or it slows down the progress that the county may have in terms of building new projects. So if we have like this multinodal housing where we can actually increase the amount of affordable housing, but at the same time attract businesses into these buildings, that's one of the ways that we can just attract more people to come here and improve.
Okay, and I wanted to go back to one of the issues that you mentioned right at the top about schools. So the Maryland blueprint for the future, that's a big issue when it comes to the budget. Do you have any ideas on tackling that, or how do you feel about the blueprint plan?
So I know for a fact that the county, I think the county budget for the schools is like roughly around 60%, if I'm not mistaken. So the issue with the education issues that we have in the county is not necessarily that we're not throwing enough money at the problem. We are throwing enough money at the problem. It has to do with an oversight issue. Are these taxpayer dollars going towards the necessary programs that will help improve our school system? And are we going to be honest enough in the county council to say, well, maybe this program's not working, or it may need a little bit more support, or we can divest some support from this program to the other one? And that's not necessarily saying that we should do away with programs, but they can be restructured in a way that is a little bit more effective. Okay. So that oversight piece is is pivotal, and I believe that that makes me a strong candidate for the county council because I understand that I'm from an opposing party. I'll be better positioned to actually conduct that oversight instead of people within their party doing that.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Mr. Toyos. We're out of time now, but I really appreciate you coming and sitting with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Make sure to tune in Monday. We'll be introducing another candidate, State Delegate Marvin Holmes. And still to come on CTV News, Simon Buggs has our Friday sports page, and he's talking about a shakeup with the Washington Capitals. Simon?
What's going on, sports fans? I've got a packed sports page for you today as new Washington Capitals General Manager Chris Patrick speaks on a potential rebuild and the Washington Wizards make another off-season move. Those stories and more coming right up. Stay right there.
Wounded Warrior Project empowers post 9/11 veterans and their families with life-changing programs and services.
I realized I could be successful in a civilian career.
We stand by warriors and advocate for their needs going forward.
They were by my side in the hospital, and they're still with me today.
Through our programs, community, and advocacy, we're proving
anything is possible.
Learn more at woundedwarriorproject.org/together.
All right, everyone, the moment you've all been waiting for is time for your Friday sports page. Beginning with some Olympic news, I'm going to shed a light on some athletes from the DMV area that are representing the U.S. in this year's games. Beginning with Noah Lyles, the 26-year-old sprinter hails from Alexandria, Virginia. Lyles is currently ranked as the #2 sprinter in the world in the 100-meter race. Lyles will be looking to make history as he will attempt to win a triple crown in gold medals in the 100-meter, 200-meter, and 4x100-meter races. The Triple Crown feat hasn't been accomplished since Carl Lewis in 1984. Maryland native Helen Morales will be on a quest for gold also in Paris. The 32-year-old wrestler will be competing in her third straight Olympics this year. Morales won the gold medal in 2016 and followed up with a bronze medal in the 2020 Games. She is also a 3-time Senior World Championships gold medalist. Tatiana Nazlimov out of Bethesda, Maryland will look to make an impression in her first Olympic Games. The fencer has already had success on the international level as she won the gold medal at the Pan American Games last year. 21-year-old soccer player Kevin Paredes is also on a quest for gold in this year's Olympic Games. The Virginia native was named to the U.S. men's national soccer team and played for DC United from 2020 to 2021. And last but not least, volleyball player Aaron Russell will be playing outside hitter for Team USA in the Olympics. The Maryland product will be participating in his second Olympic Games. The 30-year-old won the bronze medal in the 2016 Games in Rio and was named to the Olympic Dream Team. Good luck to everyone in this year's games. I'm rooting for you. Now to the world of hockey, it's a new era for the Washington Capitals as they hired a new general manager recently in Chris Patrick. The Caps could be approaching a period of transition as the Alexander Ovechkin era is coming to a close. And Patrick gave his thoughts on a potential rebuild.
In actuality, that can be a lot harder than it sounds. And I think you've seen a lot of teams try it and kind of get stuck in an endless cycle of tearing down and building up and tearing down and building up and never getting to where they want to be. And I think you can also look at some teams that have not done that and had success. I think if you look at the conference finals this year, you'll see some teams that were able to transition from an older core to a younger team that's competitive. So I think that is definitely on the table for us.
Switching gears to the NBA, the Washington Wizards continue to add more pieces to the team this offseason as they have signed small forward Saddiq Bey to a 3-year, $20 million deal. The 25-year-old averaged 14 points, 7 boards, and started in 51 games for the Atlanta Hawks before tearing his ACL. Bey is entering his 6th year in the NBA. And that wraps up your Friday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
Thanks, Simon. Now we're going to take a quick look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms are likely to continue. Saturday, showers and thunderstorms, high of 90, low of 74. Sunday, nice and sunny with a high of 96. And Monday, it's going to be hot. We're going to reach a high of 99, so stay hydrated. And that wraps up CTV News for now. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again Monday. Good night.